If you want to understand Kampala, one of the best ways to do is simply walk. Do not drive, do not sit in a taxi, just walk through the streets and allow the city to unfold in front of you. Today I'm starting my walk from Total on Ben Kiwanuka Street, and I will be going to Kikubo, right in the heart of downtown Kampala. And if you're coming to Kampala for the first time, especially this August, this is a warning. There is a lot of construction going on. The roads have been dug up and excavated. So I'm basically using a shortcut. As you can see, if you don't know these shortcuts, it's going to be tricky for you. So I go through the shortcuts in the building because the entire street was dug up and is under construction. Now this particular building, if you're looking for traditional wear for your weddings, gourmets, and also they have some other like mattresses, this building has all of that. So from this building, I'm basically crossing the road again because the entire main road is blocked. And so if you don't know the route on this building, I would ask you to just follow someone. Then also this other building I'm entering in, you can see a lot of gourmets being sold in this place. And normally this is one of the busy commercial streets connecting the different parts of downtown Kampala. The current works are part of the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area Urban Development Program, which includes reconstruction of these streets among several other roads around Kampala. Guys, I found where I'm gonna buy my gourmets. So I'm walking fast so these aunties don't stop me to call me sister. Now the next shortcut I'm taking is just entering through. This is the Mukwano Mall. Still this street, the main street, is totally closed out. And this street you're gonna find a lot of things: shoes, kids wear, women's wear, and all that are all in this building. Yes, so this is Mukwano Mall and it's just a basic shortcut. Normally I would just continue along the main road, but because of the construction I'm looking for another way, and this is where knowing Kampala from years ago becomes very useful. There are shortcuts in the city that you won't necessarily find on a map, and lo and behold, Mukwano Mall is also under construction. Tell me why I find a diversion here. So back then I would walk through these areas quite often because I was commuting to school, to and from school, and the fastest way to get was basically using these shortcuts. So you would go through the buildings and use small passages, come out of another street, and you've saved 10 or 15 minutes of your time. So this is one of those moments where you have to trust your memory. I'm going to pretend that I know every shortcut in downtown Kampala because I absolutely don't. Even after spending so much time in this city, Kampala can still surprise you. But I think that is part of the fun. Sometimes you have to gamble a little, take a turn you've never taken before, walk through the passage, slightly get lost, and then eventually get your way back to Mapera House. Mapera House, if you're new in Kampala, Mapera House is the building that you used as a landmark. So here I have crossed out and I am heading in Kikubo. I think it's less busy and less crowded today because you can see, I think KCCA people are there, so they try to push people off the streets. But on normal days, you'll find this entire street packed with traders. So Kikubo is basically a place where you buy things for cheap. It's like a wholesale spot for everything. This includes household items, includes school items for kids. It includes everything, like everything. If you don't find anything in Kikubo, then apparently maybe it doesn't exist, but it has so many things here, and the streets are most times busy. Sometimes you may find container trucks that are offloading, and it makes the street a little bit narrow and crowded. So there is another Kampala hidden behind those main streets, small shops, those narrow passages, people moving goods, workers carrying packages, small restaurants, wholesale business, and people who know exactly where they are going without needing Google Maps. That is the Kampala you start discovering when you walk. Now, if you've ever been to Kikubo, it's basically one of the places with Kampala's commercial energy. This is a major trading area with wholesalers and retail businesses, and people are walking in every direction. You're gonna be pushed, you're gonna be robbed in some days, so you have to be extra careful when you're in Kikubo. Today is my lucky day because it's really not crowded, but Kikubo is always a crowded place. Yeah, I figured out it's not crowded because there were a couple of KCCA officials that were standing in, so I was assuming the KCCA guys were trying to get them off the roads. Yes, so if you're planning to explore downtown Kampala on foot, here is my biggest piece of advice. Don't come expecting it to feel like a perfectly organized tourist district. It doesn't. Downtown Kampala is busy, is crowded, and is constantly changing. And right now, with all the construction, is even more unpredictable. Roadworks are affecting several important routes, and this street is also currently being worked on. So give yourself extra time, wear comfortable shoes, watch where you're stepping, and don't be afraid to change your route. And if one street is blocked, follow someone and find another. If the pavement disappears, look for a safe alternative. If traffic is too heavy, you have to jump in between those taxis sometimes to be able to cross the road. And most importantly, don't rush. One of the things I notice when I'm walking downtown is how different the city feels when you're moving at a walking speed. When you're in a car, you see Kampala from a distance. When you're walking, you see the details, you notice a lot of things, the shop signs, you hear conversations, there are people negotiating prices, there are people pulling you to buy their stuff. Mind you, these people are very respectful and they won't hurt you at all. So for thousands of people, this is where they work every single day. And honestly, walking here brings back a lot of memories for me. There was a time when these shortcuts were just part of my everyday life. I wasn't thinking about filming a YouTube video. I was simply trying to get from one place to another. And I think that is why I still remember some of these routes. You walk somewhere enough times when you're younger and somehow your brain still creates its own little map. Even years later, you take a turn and think, wait, I remember this place, that's exactly what happened today. And yeah, I made it to Kikubo. I walked all the way to Arua Park. However, I had to stop because Arua Park, you guys, was so crowded. I had to stop filming. Arua Park was so crowded, and it's about everything that happened between the starting point here, the construction, the detours, the old shortcuts, and a little feeling of not knowing exactly where you're going. I think sometimes we are too obsessed with getting everywhere as quickly as possible, but when you're walking through a city like Kampala, getting a little lost can actually be part of the experience. You might discover a street you've never seen, a shop you've never noticed, a shortcut you didn't know existed, or simply see your own city from a completely different perspective. So if you're visiting Kampala and you want to explore downtown, my advice is simple: go walk, go get lost, come during the day, be extra careful, do not carry valuables in your bags, whatever, because sometimes they get snatched, sometimes they get cut. But anything that has money, put it in your pocket. Be aware of borders. Kampala has so many borders. I keep telling my Kenyan friends the borders in Nairobi is nothing. Kampala has so many borders. So you're gonna expect crowds, expect construction. This is as of August 2026, and change routes, especially during this time. And if you know the area well enough, maybe take a small detour, use a shortcut, take a different street, get lost a few minutes. And because sometimes the best way to discover Kampala is not by following the perfect route, it's by taking the wrong one, and then somehow you find your way back. And this is downtown Kampala, busy, messy, constantly changing, but always moving. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in another video. Bye.